to Battle of the Sexes recap. This week was a really good topic, and it brought so much conversation that we decided we're going to have a part 2. Make sure you're there next Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time for Battle of the Sexes part 2. So let me know who you think won Battle of the Sexes this week. Was it the men or was it the women? Women, I hope you're voting. Enjoy the recap. Okay, so tonight's topic, let's start. Tonight's topic is, do men feel safe enough to open up to women emotionally? That is the question for this week. Who would like to go first? Wow.
So last week we started with the men first last week, right? So I think that the ladies should go first this week.
Okay then, Andrea, soon as it's your birthday week, we can start with the ladies.
It's my birthday.
So
2046.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think yes. I think they have to be trained. I mean, they have to start learning at a young age, like to open up. You know, I teach my son to open up to me. We talk about things, you know. And I think if a man's going to open up to you, he got to be secure and he got to trust you too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shanita, Marie, random, beautiful. Hey girl, hey.
I don't know if men feel like they are able to open up emotionally. Sometimes they feel like they can, and sometimes they feel like they can't.
Okay.
But
this isn't a topic for me. I'm not a man, so
right.
I can't answer for a man.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Shanita, for not answering for us. Thank you.
I agree. But I will say my piece on it as well. I believe that men open up when they feel some men open up when they feel like they're in a secure enough relationship and their partner is open enough to accept what they have to say and they feel safe. Once a man feels safe, I believe that some men will open up. However, I also feel that a lot of men are brought up to be men and that they should be tough and that they shouldn't let people see their emotions or if they're scared or whatever the case may be. You always have to put on a front as a man. I think that's how a lot of men are raised. And I feel that kind of holds them back from wanting to be vulnerable, to get into that vulnerable space with a woman in certain situations. How did I do?
You know, all of you guys have a point. You guys have a point. You know, I think for some men, it could be hard to open up and be vulnerable, especially if they grew up in a world like we're living in today, where men, you know, aren't encouraged to be vulnerable. You know, we train little boys to grow up being hard and be fighters and not to cry and hold your feelings in. Don't be a punk. And a lot of that they get from their single mothers. So now when they grow up, I said a lot. I didn't say all. And I can speak to that because I grew up with a single mom. So I'm not speaking about, you know, I'm speaking from experience as well. So it's not just anecdotal, it's experiential as well. So now they're growing up and they've been conditioned to believe that being a punk is someone who is vulnerable and addresses their feelings. They would rather just be physical instead of talking it out or being vulnerable in that sense. So yeah, for some men, it could be extremely challenging because for a lot of men and some of the women who grew up in single parent homes, who has brothers, who single moms told their brothers that they're punks if they show their feelings, are now in relationships with men. And if they show their feelings, that woman will see them as weak as well. So yeah, it's pretty tough. It's a challenging thing for a man to be vulnerable and open up in a relationship, especially if he's been in a situation where he can't.
Okay. Real talk.
I agree with Dre, but I'm gonna add to it. A lot of men, we actually want to open up and show our emotions to our women. So really, the answer is it depends on the woman you're with. Because if you're with like one of these loud women, one of these women who got a lot of attitude or whatever, it's going to be tough to open up and be emotional to them, because if you're arguing with them, they're going to bring it up in a future argument talking about, well, you're weak, you doing all that crying and you being emotional and shit. You see what I'm saying? But with a real submissive woman, a feminine woman, we don't mind opening up to them because we know it won't get thrown back in our face if we do.
In a relationship, not just in a stranger. Why would why would anyone open up to a stranger? I'm talking about in relationships, people that you have relationships with, whether it be friendship or partnership. Mm-hmm. Is it always going to be predicated upon the person, or are you just going to be willing to?
Yes, it's no matter what it is. It's always predicated on the person that you're giving that trust to. If that person hasn't earned that trust, then I'm not going to be vulnerable around them. And I wouldn't recommend you either, Shanita. Mm-hmm. If somebody hasn't shown that they can be trusted with your emotions and your feelings, you don't share that with them. They got to prove it first.
When are men going to take responsibility to feel safe on their own, rather it be regardless of it being on someone else?
So now, Shanita, I'm glad you said that, because I was hoping that it will go there, right? If he doesn't say anything to his lady, he's taking responsibility upon himself. If he's not being vulnerable, right, with her, right, and he can't trust her with it, he's for sure taking responsibility for his actions and for his own emotions.
What the hell is he doing with her then?
What's that?
What the hell is he doing with her then?
I would say bounce. Right. You're absolutely right.
What is he doing with her then?
Leave the relationship.
Right. If he can't be vulnerable, then why is he even in a relationship? He might as well be by himself.
Why men don't want to open up? All right. And at this point, we got to cut that out, because then that's the obvious thing. We're talking about the obvious thing. Then you shouldn't be in that relationship. That's obvious. Do you guys want to know why we shouldn't be in a relationship with you, or why we don't open up to you? Which one?
Why don't you guys open up to us?
Yes.
All right. So let's stay there.
Okay. Is he worth the investment?
That's what I said.
Maybe
he's 46.
Maybe I'm saying I'm 46 years old. I ain't invested in somebody who's 46. Damn it! Come on now. I'm just
trying to invest in somebody that's 25. If I'm gonna deal with somebody,
I'm not investing. I'm just being honest. I'm a 46-year-old woman. I'm not investing in a 46-year-old man who should have some shit. Come on now. Let's keep it real. Some of that is superficial right there. There we go right there. Superficial.
I agree.
What about the man's character? So the thing is, there's superficial right there again.
Yeah, but you guys look to change the character after he got all those superficial things that you want. You just don't want him to, you want him to come already emotionally invested into you, but it's not realistic all the time. There was something that actually I think will probably maybe add a slight more context to this, because you mentioned the barbershop, Harry. Knowledge, real, you probably can relate to this too. You can say something once in the barbershop and never hear about it again. Or you'll come back to the barbershop and may continue the conversation there, but you're not going to hear about it somewhere else. Or if all four of us in the barbershop, right, and Harry shares something, right, and later on, and let's say Real wasn't there that day. If me and Real go play ball, I'm not talking to Real about what we talked about in the barbershop, because it stays there, right? Where some women would, and I'll take you three for example, right? Shanita Marie randomly may share with Andrea Lynch about something, all right? Andrea Lynch may talk to Candidly Vee later on that day and then tell Candidly Vee, listen, let me tell you what Shanita Marie randomly told me. And then it goes that way. So I think, you know, it's a lot deeper than what we really can go today, because we're talking about like nature. We're talking about generally how certain genders are. Guys can talk and chop it up, and that conversation is going to stay between the 4 guys that talked about it. And
we can do the same thing.
But can I just say something? Men can talk just as much as women.
Yeah,
there are a lot of men that talk just as much as women. So I don't want this to come across like, oh, it's only women that talk, because that is so far from the truth.
No, they got
men talk just as much. They are gossipers. Yeah, they get it.
So I'll ask this then. How do you guys know that?
Because they do. I got and I be in a barbershop too. Y'all gossip worse than what women do.
So we talk about in the barbershop.
All right.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
We'll go and talk.
You talk about women. You talk about hair.
That's a different. I'm talking about like intimate details that we talk about in the barbershop.
Because what y'all would do after a set's prepared, y'all smash this girl. She did X, Y, and Z. She got this
That's
going on. It is the same, because that's not something that a woman wanted to have talked about.
Is that vulnerable though?
Right.
Is that vulnerable to a guy though?
We're talking about talking about loose lips. You say because women they gossip and stuff like that. Men do the same thing.
We're talking about things that are vulnerable.
And we don't have an issue.
We're talking about
vulnerability, but y'all do. So what up with that?
Wait, say that again,
I
V.
feel the same. I said, and we don't have an issue showing our vulnerability when we need to. However, men struggle with it. Some men struggle with it. So if you guys talk just as much as we do, and then y'all have the nerve to turn around and say, well, y'all talk so much sometimes when you guys are in the bed with us. So, you know, that's why we don't want to say stuff to y'all. I'm like, y'all talk just as much as women do. So that's some double standard, but it's always the fact that men don't.
But I wanna add. Yeah, I love Andrea's face, man.
I'm reading the comments.
Them faces get me. So
the comments are funny.
I will say that yes, men do gossip as much as women.
Yes, they do.
I've been fortunate enough to work.
I'll tell you, I think maybe it's because I roll very differently with the men I keep in my circle.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: when you work in the military, you got to create circles to stay alive. So it's a little bit different. And so a lot of folks in the military, you tend to grow these very, very, very quick bonds, and you tend to just chop it up to Shanita Marie's point. Loose lips sink ships. We know that. Ding, ding, ding. I give you one of those for sure, but we chop it.
Well, the situation is, I think that we find that situations women are in is that I understand where you're coming from and what you're saying and where you're at now, but you're still not opening. Like, can a relationship really truly be successful if both partners cannot be vulnerable with one another? That's a question.
That's why I just asked the question about why is it that men can do it in the barbershop?
Yes.
They struggle with their ladies. So that's why I really, so by answering that, let's remove what we feel. Okay? Let's get our feelings out of the way. Okay? I don't care what you ladies have to say about it. All right? I don't care what I have to say or what the gentlemen have to say. All right? Let's think critically about why men would feel comfortable in a barbershop and why they wouldn't with their ladies.
We don't know. That's why we're asking you. Why is that?
I think I have an answer. I think because when the boys are in the barbershop, the guys are talking and everybody else is listening, and the women sometimes when the men are talking to us, we're not listening. We are talking. So what I'm trying to say is, if I go ahead and let them talk, okay, and I'm just gonna sit there and just be the silent board, and when you done talking, I'm gonna say, can I say something now? How about that?
Okay, so we don't need to go anymore, ladies, gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching the Battle of the Sexes. It's over. I will see you guys later. Thank you, Andrea. Andrea for president.
Yeah, we don't get a chance to speak, but that's cool though.
Just came out the back.
I mean, it's right.
You had an opportunity to speak, sir. You refused to. Anyway,
I need a refill.
That part. You're sitting there crying the whole time. Anyway, so Andrea, could you reiterate your
Potential.
point?
And if they keep getting potential, I'm gonna keep getting potential.
Now
So
look,
I'm at a point in my life. Is I want a good man, and he should know who he is and what he about. And he don't need me to stand beside him and tell him what he's about. Because if he's with me, I'm gonna be his cheerleader, and he gonna be mine.
Whew, wasn't that a lot? Guys, we had so much fun. I hope you enjoyed the recap. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? Make sure you hit that red button. Don't forget to hit that like and leave a comment down below because I want to know your thoughts on this week's topic. I can't wait to see you at Battle of the Sexes next week. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.